friends way back there, way over here. I felt like I was listening to myself. Did you hear that? Tomorrow is Ash Wednesday. And sometimes we're funny, you know, the priest really works hard to get all those ashes on your head. It doesn't look good with your makeup, but might improve it, who knows? I always wondered why men got them over their heads, you know? And what do they do when they got a bald head? I mean, it must be really spread around. But it's a reminder. Now, we have a real problem, and we're a problem for any priest, because from here to here, and we hope he makes it, but usually it drips all the way down our nose. So we're running around all day with ashes down our nose. We're a little scrupulous about taking them off, but there they are most of the day. But it's a reminder. It says, dust thou art, and dust thou shalt return. Oh, well, we don't expect that, do we? How many of you think of death? How many look forward? And now, so there's not a person here looking forward to death. And the reason is, we don't know too much about heaven. But we should look forward to death, because, well, that's where we're aiming for. You know, you're going to spend eternity somewhere. But so funny, you think like you're going to die like a dog and rot? No. You're not a dog. You've got intelligence. You've got a mind, a memory, intellect, will, and you make up your mind to do something, you're going to do it. And so you're different. As animals, we're dumb, the dumbest. We used to raise sheep and goats. Well, the goats you can have, but the sheep aren't too bad. Because one goat we found on our roof one day. Nobody knows how he got there, but it took the fire department to get him down. Now, a sheep will never climb up to a roof. But they're very dumb, and I think that's why our Lord called us sheep. But they just don't know what to do anytime. You know, you got enough cough drops here, buddy? Oh, okay, there you are. But anyway, they're not very bright. But we saw one little lamb being born, and he struggled, and he knew exactly where to go for milk. We don't know where to go for milk. I mean, we are dumb. Somebody has to take us, wash us up, put us in a little crib, feed us, wipe us up again, feed us, wipe us up again, feed us. And that goes on for quite a long time. We can't climb a tree like a squirrel. We can't fly like an eagle. We can't move our nose like a rabbit. But we can't do anything. Animal-wise, we wouldn't make it. But see, God gave us a part of himself. That's the awesome thing. See, that's what he did. So he gave me an imagination and a memory. I can remember. I can do anything like that. Then he gave me an intellect to discern. So all of you maybe have wanted to come a long time, so that was in your imagination. That's going to be a nice place to go. And so you figured that out. You have the money, you had to find somebody else going, and then you had to pay. And then you know the whole trip is going to be especially uncomfortable. I mean, you can have the best bus in the world, and it's always bumping up and down. It never stops when you want to stop. And you want to sleep, and everybody else decides to sing. Isn't that true? And then you want to sing, and they're all sleeping. I mean, that's what is that? It's a penance. You're not supposed to enjoy a bus ride. You gotta be miserable. You know, Lent to me is something like New Year's Eve. Everybody gets drunk tonight. I'm glad you're not drunk. But don't they Mardi Gras? I mean, they do some pretty terrible things. And some people are up here because they don't want to be down there. Well, why? We do that Christmas Eve. We do it Mardi Gras. And see, the thing is, we're going to do penance for 40 days. So what do? Oh, you give up candy. Well, that's pretty good. I'll make a bet, though, if you only give up candy and cake, you won't lose a pound. I never saw anyone that gave up sweets during Lent that lost a pound. Not a pound. Why? Because your motive is wrong. See, for Lent, you're supposed to give up something that's lasting. Because I know not giving up candy isn't lasting. You know, right, that eat Christmas Eve, you're going to gulp down on those Easter eggs. You know that. Well, I don't see the purpose of offering up candy. Why don't you offer up your temper? That's what I'm going to do for that. I'm going to give up my temper and try to be nice to my enemies, wherever they are. But it's nice to be nice to enemies when you don't even know where they are. Maybe they're far, far away, but I don't know them. So that I really can give up that. Since I need to give up something that I know is wrong in me, and then perhaps these 40 days will get you in a habit, not this kind of habit, but a habit of not losing your temper, a habit of being nice, a habit of being kind. And begin with your family. You know, sometimes we're just so wonderful to people outside. Then when we get home, we're like bears. What do you want? Well, you'd never say that to somebody outside. You'd say, may I help you? But if it was home, you'd say, get it yourself. Wasn't that what you do? I don't know why we get kind of nasty to our relatives, and then we're so nice to strangers. I guess because we don't live with them. Well, if you're going to be nice, begin at home. But what's the use of being nice to people you work with when you're a bear at home? See? So that's a good penance for Lent, and then maybe you can carry it on. Another way is not to gossip. Not to gossip. See, I don't gossip. I just explain the faults of others. Isn't that what we do? We explain the faults of others, so we don't really gossip. And then we say, well, I tell the truth. Well, we call that slander. And this election year, is it? Nobody's getting excited over it. No? Well, during election year, you watch. Every ad's going to say something nasty about somebody else. In fact, you read that even toothpaste. Toothpaste. My toothpaste is much better than this group of toothpastes. They're all the same. They do the same. They brush your teeth. The taste is different, But toothpaste is toothpaste. I used to brush my teeth with soda and salt. Now they say that's terrible for your teeth. Well, it's better than not brushing them at all. Why don't you use a toothpaste this Lent that you don't like? Wouldn't that be a nice penance? Get up in the morning, your husband says, "What is this?" And it says, "My Lenten toothpaste." What's that? Something I ate. Ate? I said hate. Oh. Now you say that's a simple thing. No, it isn't. I got some terrible toothpaste a couple of weeks ago. And oh, I wanted to get it out of my mouth so bad. It tasted, like cyanide. Oh. And it was for kids besides. Those poor kids, no wonder they don't want to brush their teeth. And it was terrible. Then suddenly I thought, well, this is a pretty good penance for early in the morning. So I brushed my teeth a little sore and spit it out. But even in the sink, it looked terrible. Well, that's a little penance. Going to a restaurant can be a big penance. Big penance. Did you ever go to a restaurant, especially these ones that keep slinging out hamburgers by the millions, Oh, you can smell that peanut oil when you walk in. And you wonder how many thousands of hamburgers were in that peanut oil before I got it. Well, that could be a penance. Old peanut oil in a hamburger is terrible. Now, we could complain, throw it down on the shelf, and humiliate the waitress, but no, we eat it. It's not spoiled, it just stinks. So, you see, well, those are penances. And we get angry at that kind of thing. I came in here, I paid good money. I bet you didn't tip the waitress. I could never be a waitress. If I had to wait on 9 people at a table and I got a 50-cent tip, I take that ketchup squirt it on everybody and quit. That's a good penance for Lent. Those waitresses and waiters, they don't get a lot of money. One time, I think I told you earlier, some of you, went to New York, and the cab driver was a woman, and I never saw a woman cab driver, especially in New York. And so we started off, and I said, "Oh, hi." "Hi." I said, "You been a cab driver long?" "Yes." "Do you like being a cab driver?" "Yes." I thought to myself, I don't think I ought to talk too long. It's a bad day for her, And so I shut up. When we got out, she got out, and I gave her a nice big tip. And I said, "God bless you." I never saw tears in anybody's eyes as big as hers. And she said, "No, God bless you." And I thought, you see how wonderful that was? Because I don't know what she was upset about. I don't know what tragedy, what heartache she had. I don't know anything about this woman who was a cab driver, but I do know that giving her that tip meant a lot to her, probably what she needed. That's a nice thing. When you go to a restaurant, be generous. You say, well, I only have $5. Well, eat $4.50 worth or $4 worth. See, because those people live on tips. They don't get a lot of money. I did that one time at one of these barrels, crackers, or Cracker Barrel. I know it had something to do with crackers in a barrel, so anyway, I gave this young kid a tip. He said, oh, thank you, I can eat today. I said, you mean you're in this restaurant and you can't eat today? No, he said, I just got enough money for my rent. I'll see if you went into that restaurant. And maybe there's something wrong. There's always something wrong. I've been angry or picky. But see, if you overcame that, but see what a wonderful thing that's a penance. Why? Because you don't want to do it. And I said to him, I'll give you another $1 if you tell me how to run this thing on this table here. He laughed. But see, there are 1,000 things a day in this 40 days that you can say, this is my Lenten penance. Now you say, why? Why do I have to do a penance? Because you're a sinner, that's why. You're a sinner. And if you say you're not a sinner, St. John says in his epistle, you call God a liar. Didn't think of that, did you? You can't say you don't sin. I know mine is triple since I'm television. You're supposed to laugh at that. Looked like you agreed with me, you know? But anyway, we all have it, and what does it do? Sin, a lot of times, is a mistake. It's a mistake sometimes. Sometimes it's deliberate. Sometimes we know we shouldn't do things, but we do them anyway. You know you should go through a red light, you look this way, and you look that way, and off you go. Dangerous. So usually when we sin, we know, but we do it anyway. So what is that? It's a lack of willpower. You can't say no to yourself. Now what does Lenten penance do? First it begins by putting ashes on your head to remind you that eventually the person that was in that casket is going to be a couple handfuls of mixed bones and ashes. Think of that when you wake up tomorrow morning. Say it's Ash Wednesday. Look good at yourself. Won't be there when you die a few weeks. So the idea is to remind you of death, that's one thing. To remind you do not have here a lasting city. You don't. You're gonna go. But we don't like to think about it, but you're gonna go. Now, the second thing is that when you do penance for Lent, you imitate Jesus, and secondly, you strengthen your will. So when something sinful comes your way, you can say no. See, there's a twofold advantage to doing penance, real penance, not giving up candy, for goodness sakes. Your heart up if that's all you can give up. You give up candy or smoking. Oh, no, that's a nice one. Give that $1.50 to the poor or something. What is it now, $2? Huh? You don't even know? You must not all smoke. But see, if you gave something up, something that cost you, not money, but cost you something in here, then by the end of Lent, you're stronger. Your will is stronger to say no to more important things. See, the whole thing of Lent does not give up candy, sweets, cake, cigarettes. Well, that's smart, cigarettes, because you're just rotting your lungs out. You don't know it, huh? It is getting blacker every day. You know, look at one. I saw one in formaldehyde. It said, this man smoked 3 packs of cigarettes a day. And that long was like charcoal, looked like charcoal. And I thought, a little sacrifice, that man would have lived longer. See, there comes a time in your life when you have to say no to something very difficult in your life. When to say yes would be so easy. When to say yes might even bring you a compliment, like, oh, you did great. But to say no is harder. And that's what we call human respect. You know things you should do and things you shouldn't do. But if you want your friends to think well of you, all you teenagers listening, that's how you got in a lot of trouble, wasn't it? They said, oh, come on, take a drink, it's not going to hurt you. One drink won't hurt you, and you didn't want to hurt them. You didn't want to look like you were weak. And so what did you do? You took 1, and then 2, and then 3. See what happens? Then we call that human respect. You get in trouble, you commit a great sin because you don't want this person to think ill of you. Do that for Lent. Say no when you have to say no. When saying yes is a very serious thing. See? A place for Lenten penance is your car. Especially if you drive the minimum down the highway. Which is what, 45? Is that what it is? And you can feel the vibrations of everybody behind you. And then they look at you like you've got to come from another world. Well, maybe they're short and their feet don't reach low enough to go faster. You don't know that. That's a nice thing, not to criticize your neighbor during Lent, driving down the highway. And all you men are notorious for that. Those dumb women don't know how to drive. That'll be a law. Women off the streets. Well, wouldn't that be nice if you didn't swear at somebody while you're driving? Or you had this, you're in a hurry and you get every red light. It's like somebody's after you. Every single red light you get. And the worst is when the slowpoke that you passed goes ahead of you. I mean, that is worth a gripe. But see, during Lent, if you would say, well, Lord, I can give this to you, or I'm not going to. I hate people honking their horns at me. I don't drive, but they'll honk their horns at maybe Sister Regina. And she's gone the speed limit. This one time was so delightful. This guy honked his horn, and then he gives you that look. Nuns get a look that's a little worse than women. They're sure we don't know how to drive, see. So he looks at us like, ew. And I had thoughts. I tell you, I did have thoughts. I thought them, but I didn't express them. That's a good penance for Lent. Anyway, we turned the corner, there was a red light. And guess who was there? My speeding friend. I couldn't help it. I tried, but it's like some invisible being pushed up my arm, and I went. You see, those are, you don't realize how many daily penances we have. I love tea. Not this tea that's flowery like blueberries and elderberry tea and flower tea and leaf tea. I like tea that's strong, looks like coffee. And the worst thing in the world is when you got a bad cold and one of the sisters wants to do something for you so bad. Can I make you a cup of tea? Yeah. When it comes, I look at it, I say, what is that? And she smilingly says, tea. Oh, thank you. Then I look at it again, and I hoping she goes away. She doesn't. So I have to drink it in front of her. A little bit darker than dishwasher. She said, you like it? Yeah. Well, you say that's not true. Yeah, that's true, because she put her heart in making terrible tea. But her heart was there. See, she doesn't know how I like tea, so and these are little things. Little things. You go to the office and you feel bad, and everybody there is happy. Everybody. Even your grouchy boss is smiling. And you're looking around, everybody's smiling and laughing, and you just want to say, drop dead. But you don't. See, that's the virtue. This is so many, many, many. If you're a saleswoman in a woman's store, especially a shoe store, and you try on one shoe after another, and half of the shoes are on the floor. Because this character tried them all on. Not one fit. It's like she had a special shoe, a special foot that only God could create. And you're tired, and then she walks her out and she pats you on the head and says, sorry, sweetheart, they just don't fit. And you look at this mass of shoes that you gotta put back. I think that's very difficult. And for the little money you make, you work hard. Not only hard, but it's a virtue level that's different. Waitresses have the same. Well, give that to the Lord and say, well, Lord, I give you this penance. It's a real, honest-to-goodness penance. Not to put your foot on while she trips over 10,000 shoes. See? It's a penance. When somebody comes in, ask for a cup of coffee, but when you bring it, it's too cold. So you bring it back. You get another cup of coffee. What am I going to do with this? It's too hot. And you're thinking to yourself, don't ask me what I'm going to do. But if you go back 3 or 4 times like that, and they don't buy anything else. They don't buy a hamburger, they don't buy a meal. There's nothing there worth a tip. And you say, there must be another job around here. Like the time I was in an airplane and it went boom, and all the meals were on the floor. And right beside me was this poor waitress. And she was full of coffee, pie, and whatever else was on my tray. She looked at me and she said, there has to be a better way to make a living. And I thought that was wonderful, because that's all she said. That's all she said. So in your life, don't just tomorrow, and please go for ashes, leave them there a little while. I don't know, you've gone home and washing your face. Everybody, number 1, knows you're Catholic. Number 2, it reminds them that they are going to turn to that same back little stuff. See, it's not a matter of a penance for 40 days. It's a reminder. There's a lot in me that hasn't changed a bit. I'm going to work on that for Lent. And then you have a handle on it, see? Besides this year, you got Jubilee year. So, between now and tomorrow morning, think tonight, what can I really do for Lent? We have a call. Hello?
Hi, Mother Angelica.
Hi. Where are you from?
I'm Jody, and I'm from Delaware.
Uh-huh.
And actually, I have a 2-parter.
You what?
I have 2 parts to my question.
Okay.
The first one is, I go back and forth with my friends about this one. They seem to think that there's a Sunday exception during Lent for whatever you've given up or whatever penance you're doing. They seem to think that there's an exception on Sundays because that you don't have to do that or give that thing up. You can have it then. And that's the first part. And then the second one, I was just wondering if either one, which was more, I don't know, pleasing to God. I don't know if there is one that's more pleasing, but whether you should give up something. For example, for me it would be coffee, or versus doing something like giving more, going to Mass daily if you don't ordinarily do that.
Wonderful. I think going to Mass daily for Lent is wonderful, but why don't you keep it up? Should get in a habit during Lent. Now, Sunday. Well, I really don't know. I never thought of it myself. I suppose depends on what you gave up. If you gave up adultery, it wouldn't. I don't think Sunday would be an exception.